everybody. It's January 26, 2014, and we are at Grandpa's Corner, and here's Grandpa. And we've been sending questions in on the Webbling page of questions we have for Grandpa to answer about his past and memories that we all want to hear what got him right here. So our first question is from Shannon Grey, and her question is, what is your favorite vacation memory?
Shannon Grey, my favorite vacation memory is the Sinks, which is in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And the Sinks are waterfalls that come down over the rocks. And it's free. You just pull your car in and get your bathing suit on and go swimming. There's a ledge there that where you can jump off into the water about 10 feet below. And I did that. I jumped off the ledge, and once I got in the water, I opened my eyes and I looked up, and here's about 24 snakes that are vertical and just enjoying all the oxygen that was being added to the water from the people jumping. Lori Garcia at the time with Jerry Garcia were also jumping in the water. Well, after I told them about the snakes, they decided not to jump anymore. At any rate, the kids were on vacation, and they'd been many places, including Walt Disney World and John Penny Camp, Underwater Museum, and all kinds of places. But what they liked the most was the thing that didn't cost them a penny, which was the Sinks. That was my favorite memory.
Love that. The next question Shannon Grey has is, what is your favorite Christmas gift you received as a child?
My favorite Christmas gift, and I was about 4 years old at the time, was a tricycle. And I loved taking the tricycle and racing cars with it. And some of the cars would let me beat them. And I was so impressed how fast I was.
And tell me about a top, too. I thought you had a top you got.
I enjoyed a top around the same time. You would spin it, and it was one of those things that they did back in those days, and I don't know if they do that much anymore.
So much anymore?
Yep.
All right, our next question is from Alyssa Bolling, and her question is, do you dip your cookies in milk, or do you eat them dry?
I actually eat them dry. I did once. I dipped them in milk, but I don't usually do that.
Even Oreos? Oreos are supposed to be dipped.
Yeah, sometimes I'll dip Oreos.
My next question is from Rick Webb. His is, did you ever get my switchblade back from the Woodridge Police Department?
Actually, I didn't. I left it there. I was afraid you would get in more trouble.
Okay, my next question is actually from me, and it says, Dad, would you tell us about your first kiss and how old you were, with who, and where?
Sure.
Okay.
Everything.
No pressure.
The girl's name was Barbara Jordan. She was taller than I was. And we were at a friend's house and playing spin the bottle. Oh, this was probably junior high or less.
Oh, you were old. Okay.
Yeah. At any rate, I was so excited after that kiss that I went outside and I did cartwheels.
I love it. Okay, it says, can you tell us, Daddy, some memories of you and your father together? Anything you remember specifically?
I remember him taking me down to fly a kite, which was down at Gabriel Richard Park on Jefferson Avenue by Belle Isle Bridge. And he was born in 1889, so he wasn't really able to joined me on a lot of things, but
So he was an older dad?
yeah, I was in track, and I was winning all of my track mile races, and the one that he came to see was in Hazel Park, and I was way ahead of the entire field, way ahead. And coming back to the finish line, there was an uphill event, and my legs suddenly gave out, and 3 other guys passed me at the end. But I felt so bad because that's the one race that I lost.
Oh, and that's the one he came to.
The one that he came
right?
to, yeah.
Oh, but I'm sure it felt good for him to see you participating like that too.
I was so excited that I really ran away from the rest of the field.
And just while I have that subject up, can you tell us more about your dad? Recently I know that Uncle Bill and you had the most loving hearts of anyone I know. You both are just so kind and loving. And I asked if that's how your father was. Did he have that?
He was one of the kindest, gentlest human beings that I've ever known. He also had a good sense of humor. He loved to tell stories that had a kick at the end of it, a punchline.
Yeah.
And he would frequently just read it as though it wasn't a punchline, and suddenly you'd start laughing.
Yeah. Catch you off guard, right?
Yeah. He was good at that. He was a storyteller.
Love it. And you too. And then I have, what year, this is also my question, what year, model, and color was the first car, or it may have been a horse, haha, that you owned?
The first one that I owned was it was a Kaiser, right after World War II. A Kaiser Fraser, beautiful little car, and it was yellow. And
was it a 2-seater, 4-seater?
It was a 2-seater.
Okay. All right. Next question is by Stephen Bolling. His is, who is your favorite Major League Baseball player you ever saw play? There's the key word. You were actually there to watch them play.
He was Jewish.
Yeah?
Greenberg.
Yes?
It was Hank Greenberg, and he hit a lot of home runs. And he was very good.
What team was he on?
Tigers.
Oh, awesome. Joel says, come on, Mom. All right, so Greenberg on the Tigers. And our next question, Dad, is, I have a question for you. What were your favorite games you played outside as a child?
I was in the Boy Scouts, and we had merit badges and things like that. And we also would get together and go fishing primarily.
Did you ever do camping?
Yeah, I went to Highland Lake camp. And I was very allergic to horse dung that was in the camp.
It's probably what everyone slept on.
I almost died. I just
Was it asthma?
couldn't hardly breathe.
Was it asthma?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, had to be.
Wait, Grandpa, why do you think it is that every story you tell for your favorite memory ends up being a disaster?
Because he lived to tell it.
Yeah, your favorite vacation was snakes underwater. Your favorite game involving almost dying from the smell.
See, he lived to tell about it. Johnny Lamb has a question. He said, Grandpa,
Oh boy.
I have often wondered if the North Pole offered good benefits to their employees before you retired, meaning you're Santa Claus.
True or
Is that what
false?
that means?
True or false?
Yes, he wants to know if all the elves got good benefits, I think.
Sure they do.
See, you're our Santa Claus. I love it. Rick Webb said, describe your first day at Wayne State or first months.
Okay. I had a very, very interesting teacher in humanities, and I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed the camaraderie of all the students, and especially enjoyed the Unitarian Universalist Church that was right on campus.
Is that how you became Unitarian?
Oh, of course.
Is that the
Wayne
one that's still
State?
there?
At Wayne State.
Is that
Yes.
the one that's still there?
Yeah.
We should go sometime.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I would like to. But I enjoyed it, and it was great.
Good memories. Did you meet Mom, Helen, at Wayne State, or was it? I'm trying to remember where you guys met.
I met her downtown in Detroit at an editors conference, and she was very vocal.
To say the least.
What does that mean?
As it is, Joel keeps telling me to lower my voice.
Wait, no, why was she vocal? Just
Everyone around
She
the
had an
table
opinion.
were always directing their questions toward her for some reason,
for some reason.
But I was impressed by that.
Ah, and you went and started a conversation after the conference?
Yeah, I gave her my card. I was a sports editor on Birmingham Eccentric, and she was an editor on the American Hungarian Journal.
Wow, I did not know that either. Love
Wait,
that.
so what was the pickup line? Just call me sometime?
Oh, yeah, I called her within the week, and we arranged to meet at her house on Schaefer.
And that's the first time you saw Bobby and Nancy.
Yes, it was, actually. A good question.
Awesome.
They were so excited. They ran upstairs, ran downstairs, chasing each other around. I said, you have got the two most beautiful children in the world. And then Grandma T came out of the kitchen and said, now you have touched my heart.
Aww.
She was spying on you. Paying attention.
Now I'll come out. This is a good man, I'm sure. Love that. Let's see. We have another question from Johnny. And he said, Grandpa, what is the most embarrassing thing that has happened to you?
Oh, wow.
I can
That's
think.
a great question, Johnny.
Yeah, way to go, Johnny.
Good question. My most embarrassing moment. I guess it's when I had to buy a loaf of bread for my mother, and she had a very steep driveway, and I had a car that clunked out of gear, and as I ran up the stairs and gave her the loaf of bread, I could hear the car clunking out of gear. Now it was in neutral and it was headed back toward the street. Well, I leaped out of the door and started chasing the car across the street before it hit the neighbor's garage right across the street. And I realized the only way for me to stop the car before it hit the garage was to dive through the open window. And as I dove through the open window, I'd been losing some weight, and my pants came down around my ankles, and I hit the brake, but now there was no way to get out of the car except go back then the way I had jumped in. And so I got out of the car, and I looked, and this lady coming down the road was just breaking up laughing. She'd seen the whole thing. It was very
Literally.
embarrassing. Yeah.
The whole thing. Oh, that's funny. Good question,
All right, let's
Johnny.
be safe and cut it off there.
We're going to stop.
That wasn't a question. Let's say we are going to stop now for your commercial break.
Stay tuned.
Yep.
Hi, Dad. We're going to continue now. The other question, I know this is on one that we asked a while back about Rick and his switchblade. I was just wondering if you could expound on that, because I didn't know anything about the switchblade story.
Rick had a switchblade that he was playing, and outside in the grass and throwing the switchblade and having it stick in the grass. And then a police car came by and saw him, and he ran into the house with the switchblade, handing it to me. And suddenly the policeman was following real quickly and came in as I was running up the stairs, throwing the switchblade into the bathroom, which he ran up the stairs and retrieved. And then I ended up having to go to court. And the judge just reamed him up and down, this policeman, for entering the house without a warrant. And she just gave him all sorts of trouble. But I never thought to get the switchblade back from the police department.
You're dismissed, now leave. All right, let's go. I can imagine. Well, here's a question from Cassandra Strong. It's a pretty deep one. And the question is, what do you consider to be one of your biggest personal and professional accomplishments?
Oh, good question. I was always proud of the fact that I was involved with the Detroit Auto Show. The auto show is Detroit. And I was public relations director for 5 years in a row for the Detroit Auto Show. The other thing I really enjoyed was...
Do you remember what year that is?
1978.
Okay.
79, 80, 81, 82.
Cool, all right.
Those. The other thing is, in 1968, I was commissioned to do the General Motors Dealers of Canada in the World's Fair Expo. It was 86 actually, Expo 86. And I wrote an entire booklet for the General Motors Canada dealers on how to tie in to the World's Fair.
Awesome.
So that's probably the
greatest
best.
accomplishment.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good question, Cassandra. Another question she had is, ready? If you could snap, what perfect timing, Dante. If you could snap your fingers today and be anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Ooh.
Here we are.
I guess I would go to Australia. I haven't been to Australia yet.
Oh, us too? We want to go to Australia. We'll
Yep.
go this summer. That'd be
There you
great.
go.
It's the long flight, though.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the next thing is, I, Lisa Riley, am asking, name a few things on your bucket list.
Oh, wow.
Anything you still want to do that...
Oh, I've done so much.
Yeah, you really have.
I sure have. It's
Like
getting...
skydiving or...
No,
Yeah.
skydiving. That's Webby, my brother. He's a skydiver.
Okay. He's the smart one. I'm kidding. Whoops. All right, let's see. You can't think of any... Because like you say, you've already done so many wonderful things.
I sure have. Australia might be one.
Yeah?
You know.
Yeah.
Mary has never seen Jamaica, and that would be interesting to
You guys should take
her
a cruise.
so she could see it.
A cruise over to Jamaica. That's a inexpensive way and a beautiful way.
Right.
And my next question, Dad, is from me, and it says, were you ever bullied in school? And if so, how did you solve it?
I wasn't bullied, but some of my friends were. There was a bully that was in school. He would always punch girls and punch other guys as he passed them in the hallway. And he was not a big guy. He was Italian. but he was the bully in our school. And he was mainly bullying against a couple of rich kids that were in the class. There was Reed Carrington and Jack Nyam.
Oh,
and,
you can remember their names?
Yeah.
Daddy.
And they would be let out 15 minutes early so they could run home without him catching them. The teachers solved it that way. But this one day I was out in recess and I saw him getting beaten up. He was getting beaten up by 3 or 4 other guys that had him on the ground. Well, he looked over and saw me watching and somehow figured that I was ordering them to do that.
Oh, no.
So he said, I'm going to get you tonight after school. And I was, like I say, not on his hit list. But sure enough, when I was almost home, I was by the Christian Science Church next door to my house. And I saw him running down the street. And a lot of other kids were watching. And as he ran up to hit me, I hit him first. I had my foot against the stair and I gave him a good punch in the eye, and I thought, at any rate, his big brother was following him, and the big brother just rolled on the grass laughing.
Oh, I'm glad that rolled on you.
That's unusual.
I had no idea Grandpa had such violence of it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then he tickled him. That's something. Dad, can you tell us more about Miami Beach, like the ocean? I have a memory of you going either every morning or every night to the ocean, and about the hurricane, Mr. Ott, and Rumpelstiltskin.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes.
Rumpelstiltskin was the reason we ended up on Miami Beach. The police in South Miami, where we lived, were very upset about Rumpels because Rumpels was the biggest Dalmatian you'll ever see in your life.
Like Great Dane big.
Oh, Great Dane big. And
yes.
He would break the chains that we would have him chained to the in the back to the clothesline. He would break the clothesline, and then if that didn't work, he would break the chain. If that didn't work, he would break out of the harness. The harness itself would break, and then he would go running around the neighborhood until the police, called us. And
I remember Rumpels being in a garage. I think it was Rumpels. And he got bloody paws because he kept scratching to try to get out. Is that right? Was it Rumpels?
We looked for a house that where he couldn't get out of the yard.
Right.
And we found this house in Miami Beach that was right next to Surfside. And had a 6-foot wall all the way around it. It took him 2 days to learn how to climb that wall and get over it.
And then he would run after you when you'd leave in the car. I mean, run after the car, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember looking out the window going, oh no, he's following us.
Yeah.
Rumpels, and we'd have to turn around, get him, and take him back again, and that might have been. What about the hurricane? Do you remember the hurricane?
Oh, yeah.
Carry on.
Somebody fell.
The hurricane. The hurricane is
The
here.
hurricane
Yeah. The hurricane was supposed to have passed Miami. We had the radio on and the television, and they said that it was going to bypass Miami and go out to sea. But right about that point, it turned and hit us directly. And the lights went out.
Do you remember what you did with all of us kids? Because I do.
I put you all in the bathtub.
Right.
Which is usually a safe place.
Right. All up in the bathroom. Yeah. And so a few of us got the bathtub. I was one of them.
And then I went out, and I wish I had given you kids an opportunity to see what I saw. I looked out the window, and I saw our 2 palm trees go down in unison. they just went right down, and the roots came up, and just like that. And then I looked, and here comes coconuts bounding down Collins Avenue like a basketball game.
And that would be dangerous because coconuts were hard.
Coconuts were bounding just like basketballs. And looking up towards Surfside, I could see from the hurricane, I could see all these big signs, these neon signs crashing, and it looked like 4th of July with fireworks going off. But I was right in front of hurricane windows, which allows the breeze to come through and go out the other side.
Do you remember Mr. Ott?
Yes. Mr. Ott used to take movie stars out fishing, usually for sharks. And he had one picture on his wall. He was our landlord who lived next door to us in Miami Beach. And he had this one picture with hundreds of sharks that they had caught. And Johnny Weissmuller was in the group. He was Tarzan.
Yes,
One day, Mr. Ott was swimming. We usually go out at 6 a.m. swimming in the ocean.
Almost every morning. From what I remember,
And this one day, as I was going into the water, he came out and he had a whole bunch of man-o'-wars on him. And they can kill you,
Right.
Poisonous
one,
chemicals.
nevertheless, a bunch.
So he said, be very careful not to touch the tentacles and pull them off by the sail, Well, I got them all off of him. And then I said, I'll take you to the hospital in case you need a shot or something. He said, no, he's got the right kind of cream. He's had it happen before.
I thought he was going to ask you to pee on him.
No, I don't think he
Wait, wasn't you who asked this question?
Yes.
Was this all a build to take out a Grandpa Pete on some guy?
It's supposed to take the sting out.
I didn't know that.
No, nothing. Okay, let's see. Shannon Grey says, tell us about, if you can remember, as many places that you've lived or when you lived there, and any special friends or memories.
Well, I could tell you the first 5 houses I lived in.
Yes, please.
Okay, the first house was in top of the world. Was Prescott, Arizona. It was a little rustic cabin-like house that was back south of Prescott. And the day before I was born was the coldest day of the year, and they had a horrible snowstorm. And so when I was being rushed to the hospital the next day, it was pretty dangerous because the roads were slippery and everything. Dad was just thankful that he was able to make it to the hospital in time. My mother died of tuberculosis, and
Here's
so
a
I'd
picture.
yeah.
And you can show everyone. Yeah.
This is my mother, who I can't recall ever meeting her, but I understand that she would look at me on the other side of the door, the glass door. But I never touched her or anything like that.
So she must
I
have...
love this woman, though. I love her.
And it's so cool to think in heaven get
What
to
does that
reunited.
picture do for you when you see it?
Oh, I feel so drawn to her.
How about going to the cemetery where she was buried?
I had one occasion to look for her cemetery there in Prescott, and it was a huge cemetery, and we drove around for seemed like half an hour, 40 minutes.
But we were driving around
Looking.
because the office was closed and we couldn't find out and he was so ready to be there, and he was so disappointed when the office was closed that we started driving around. Go ahead.
Yeah, the office was closed, so
And it's a huge cemetery, and you have to go find this.
we
Okay.
thought we'll just go. So we drove around for half an hour or something, and finally I said, well, I'm going to stop here and just go back and look at some of the tombstones. And I stopped, and the very first one that I came to was hers.
Oh, wasn't that?
I fell over and started crying.
Oh, it was almost like she was calling you.
Oh,
like,
it was
right
impossible.
here I am.
Yeah.
Wow.
Something
Wait, Grandma, you were there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
can you get up to the microphone? Like, what do you remember saying?
Well,
Just gotta get up closer.
well, he absolutely, he walked down 3 rows and over 2. It wasn't right on the corner, and there she was. And he did fall over and started crying. I've never seen him cry like that.
Oh.
And he started talking to her.
Oh.
And someplace we have the tape of that. Someplace we have a tape of that. And he talked to her for a long time, thanked her for giving birth, and told her how much he loved her. We took purple flowers because he had heard that purple was her favorite color. So we picked up some purple flowers and we put purple flowers on his gravesite. And you explain how you felt at that point, your feelings, because you told me at that time you'd never felt closer to her. Go ahead.
Oh.
Well, that's true. I felt as though I was able to say some things that let her know how much I loved her.
Do you remember what you said, or do you think it's between you two? Like, I'm just curious, like, anything specifically that you said out loud to her, or is this just something you want to remain between and understand the privacy thing? But
I told her that I had no memories of her, except that from my father telling me how wonderful she was, and he, when she died, he sent a little pages of a booklet out to about 200 people that knew her, and they each wrote back memories that they had of her, so that my brother and I could know something about her.
and what happened with that book?
Oh,
What
the
happened with
book?
that book growing up? Like, how much did that mean to you? Did you ever like go back every year and read it, or did you ever go back just every few years?
Lisa has the book itself right now.
Yeah, and
I did make some copies of it.
He did not know the book was even in existence until Bill died, and Bill had it, and Jean brought it to him and said that Kathy would not have any children and this needed to stay in the Webb family, and gave it to Bob at that time. And there was also a little bell,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and the bell was from a coal company, and it had like ring 8 on it. It was an old-fashioned phone, and she used to use that bell when she needed help in the bedroom. And so
When
the
she was
bell,
bedridden. Yeah.
the bell and the book kind of went together.
Oh, I think I hear the name of the next book. The Bell in the Book. That'll do it. All right, that was your first house. Tell us your second, third, fourth, and fifth.
Okay,
This could take a long time.
I'll try to be brief. Okay, we moved, when Mom died, we moved back to Georgia, and we lived in a house on Main Street, which was with my Aunt Emmylou and Uncle Claude. And the first memory I have at that house was playing in the backyard where they had red clay, and I made a little statue from the World's Fair at the time, which was a round ball and then a kind of a triangular thing. And they said how great it was. It wasn't so great because I was only like 4 years old.
You did that to me my whole life. You said about how great everything. It's like, wait a minute, I spent 30 minutes on that when I spent 2 minutes. You still thought it was great. So, yes.
But it was in that house that I rode my tricycle up and down the street, racing cars. But we moved from that house to the third house, was my grandfather's house, which was 706 Fifth Avenue Southeast. And
What a memory.
and that was where I went to kindergarten. And from there,
Is that the same house that Grandpa was in?
Yeah.
That I would have. I mean, they
Yeah.
always had that house. Okay.
Yeah,
I remember
we were
that
all
one.
on the
Is
porch
this on?
there.
Where is this at? What city? Sorry.
This is in Moultrie,
Moultrie.
Georgia. And then we moved from there when my father married again. We moved to Maud Palmer. We moved up to Michigan, and we moved into a house which was on East Grand Boulevard in Jefferson. And
You probably know where that's at.
and
You're
this
over
was
by-
right by Belle Isle, the
Right, right.
Belle Isle Bridge.
So that was an up and coming area at that point.
Oh, it was a very
That's why
wealthy
the
area.
Rich, yeah, because it's right
Very.
by Grosse Pointe. And you didn't,
Yeah, it was. And so we lived there, and what made me move from there was I was in the Boy Scouts, and we had underneath the back porch a Boy Scout meeting where we had all of our sheets and stuff like that, papers. Well, I went down to play in Gabriel Richard Park, and I heard a fire engine come. And I thought, man, that's got to be close to our house. And I ran home, and it was our house that was on fire from the candles that had left burning onto the back porch.
was that your fault?
Yeah,
What? Your fault?
that was my
Tell
fault.
me what? How bad did you like? Were you sweating when you saw it, or
I don't know. My father was there somehow. And I got my one spanking that I ever got in my entire life.
because you burned down a house?
Yeah.
You did
It
more
was
damage
just
than
the
me.
back part, but it was
The back porch.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
It wasn't good. So we moved from there to Ferndale, and I lived on 161 Albany.
Just wants to know
All
who's
right,
back
161
control.
Albany. So I've been to
Yeah.
that house
Right.
over there too.
And it was so great because I suddenly realized that there were schools where the teachers liked to teach and the students liked to study. And I had not seen that in Detroit, you know. And I was so excited that I thought, man, every black child in the city of Detroit should have that chance to move out to the suburb where the air is clean. And it was so beautiful.
That is one of Joel's pet
Sorry.
peeves.
What?
He said
I'm sorry.
he said that when he moved to Ferndale, he couldn't get over that teachers really like to teach and students really like to learn. And he said he thought it was so unfair when he was going to the Detroit schools that the teaching wasn't up to par.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Joel
Yeah.
feels like it's unfair that they don't have,
Right.
good teaching
Yeah, me
for
too.
for
you
them.
may have desegregation, but you don't have people living in the same neighborhood. So
Right.
that's the question: is how do you overcome that?
Okay, and we kind of already hit a little bit for the video. Could you tell us the love story of Max and Olga, which we have a book of, but just wanted in a few sentences if you can tell us about any memories of what they said how they met.
They met at in New York City at the Church of the Little
Church around the corner.
Church around the corner, and my father was walking down the street, and he heard this beautiful singing coming out of the church, and he was drawn to go into the church, and he sat in the back pew and he listened. He said this one person was so beautiful and her voice was so fantastic, and it was my mother that he was talking about. And he went there on other occasions and never was able to really speak to her until this one time when she came and asked him if she said, "I see you here all the time. Would you like to come and have dinner at my mother's house?" And he said, "She certainly would." And one thing led to another there. This was around 1922 or something.
She wasn't diagnosed with tuberculosis at that point, was she? That you know of?
She was.
I wonder if when they dated he knew.
I
Don't think so.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I'm just curious about that. Let's see. Tell us.
Last question.
Okay. No, actually, do you want to stop it now?
Let's go with one more.
Okay, here goes. One more. Oh, we already hit that one. Tell us about when you marched in Martin Luther King March.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that was Martin Luther King. That was a different march.
Wait, you did two different marches, or?
Oh, I thought that was the same thing.
No, that was for the 4 girls that were killed in.
Okay, and that's what.
In
and
Selma,
I,
Alabama. Sorry.
Yeah, and I assumed it was the same.
So you had an MLK march as well, or was it the same march? Like, was Martin Luther King at your?
No,
thought it
I was a member of CORE. CORE
stands
was
for?
Congress of Racial Equality. And so I would go to these meetings and everybody would hold hands and sing, "We Shall Overcome." And it was very touching. It's one of the great things in my life, having been at those meetings.
What about the sit-in?
You read a sentence too?
Uh,
The sit-in. Where the big guys came in.
Oh, geez, yes. At one of these meetings, they were going to try to integrate a restaurant that had never integrated. And every time a black person would try to come into the restaurant, they would rush over and lock the doors so he couldn't get in.
Sorry for the awkward silence, everyone. We're watching my dad do liquor secretly.
While I'm
This will be
distracted.
all over the interwebs. My dad is self-proclaimed
So what
Christian,
happened
but
with the big
continue with the
guys?
sit-ins.
Oh, we agreed to have 2 people come, and they would not be part of our group, but they would be taking notes so that they could verify everything that happened. And there was 4 of us others that came in, and we had the black guy was kind of in the back, so they couldn't see him as we came in. We got into the restaurant and went over and took a seat at a table, and he started screaming at the waitress not to wait on us. And then a guy came out of the kitchen, had a towel over his arm. He said, "I'll take your order." And he was a black guy himself. And so he took our order, and the one guy that had not gotten into the restaurant before was afraid to eat anything.
Oh yeah,
It's a trap.
yeah.
It's a trap.
Poison. Yeah,
He was
yeah.
afraid what they did to it back in the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
But the rest of us ate and survived it.
Wow.
And suddenly we looked at the owner of the restaurant, and his face was livid. His eyes were red, and you could just see how angry he was. And he was on the phone calling a bunch of buddies, get your baseball bats and come over here. And so as we left, we left money on the table. And as we left, we were told by the guy in the kitchen, he says, "I hope you haven't cost me my job here." And anyway, we left. I had come by myself, so I got in my car, and the other 3 were in another car. And suddenly I saw a big truck pull up, a bunch of guys in it. They were jumping out. I went right across the street and up onto the expressway, and I thought, man, I've got an old car. This is not working out right.
It's not. You figure this is easier to protest.
But I went and I finally turned onto a street, and I was going so fast that there was a policeman down at the bottom there, and he pulled me over. I was kind of glad because
One time you're get caught for speeding.
Yes, saved your life.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Daddy, I just have to tell you one of my memories, and I don't know if you recall this. I think it was Moultrie, and at the library there were 2 water fountains at 2 different places. Like there was a green area by the library, and they had 2 water fountains opposite sides of the yard. And one said coloreds, and one said whites only.
Yeah.
And you said to Rick and I, whatever you do, you drink out of this fountain. And it was the coloreds fountain.
Yeah.
And we were so proud of that. I mean, to this day, I'm proud of that you will never allow any prejudice in this family.
Right. And that could put you in jail, too.
Oh, yeah. Back then, even. I mean, I was born in 58.
See the newspaper article. Dad left daughter go to jail.
I couldn't read. That's what I would have told him. I couldn't read. No, but I love that.
All right, so you're talking about politics in the 1960s. And I remember 1996, you and Grandma were in North Carolina, and the Democratic National Convention was going on. And it astounded me that someone could be so obsessed with politics as much as I wanted to be. And I remember going up to your room to find out what states had voted for Bill Clinton, even though I was Republican at that time because I was brainwashed. Anyways, what would you say is the most important political issue for you now, here in 2014?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I've been a strong supporter of Obama. And I probably made as many telephone calls.
That's right.
When he was running for second term. I also did it when he was the first term.
What in the nation?
I was #1 in the nation in telephone calls for Obama.
Wow.
Which was not a paid thing. It was simply
volunteer
and
did you guys autograph?
Spend every night. No.
Oh, we get Christmas cards from them.
You get Christmas cards.
We do. We get number of cards. And
so issue-wise, though, what are you really convicted of that Obama does right in your mind?
It's all summed up in the 2 books that he wrote. They were so fantastic. Once I read those, Dreams of My Father and the other one was
The Audacity of Hope, I
The
think?
Audacity of Hope, yeah.
Yeah.
It was so good. I read those and I thought, I can't believe we're going to have a president that is so intelligent. And to me, he's done everything right, you know.
But the issues that you're passionate about right now, one is, I know, the immigration law.
Oh, yeah.
Tell him he's looking for the issues that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Immigration, for sure, and I like the idea of women having equal pay.
But men are smarter, Dad.
That's accurate.
Thank you.
He also was interested in this DREAM Act so that children of immigrants could stay in the United States and go to college, and he was very passionate about that.
True.
Wrote letters again for that one.
Good. Ready? Here's a question from Andrew Webb, your grandson. It says, ready? This is Imagination Station. You're stranded on an island and can only take 5 things with you. What are they? Yeah.
A magnifying glass. Or a mirror. Water.
Good. This is tough. He used to be
He's really trying to go for the long ball.
He's being very logical.
Oh, let's go with
Your tricycle?
meatloaf.
A volleyball.
No, that'd be a coconut rolling down.
Probably a chess game.
Chess game, good.
To play with yourself, to play against yourself?
Oh, you can, sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
Can't lose
The
that way.
Aborigines might show up.
Andy is a good chess player too.
Cool. Hear that,
Sky's
Andy?
Andy.
We're talking about you. All
I
right.
don't think he's
So
good.
that's 4.
Okay, and the fifth one would be a fishing line.
Oh.
The wife is out.
For the record, my mother was pointing to Grandma in the room.
And my arm's going all the way out and goes a fishing line.
Saying herself for the night. And Grandpa says fishing line instead of Grandma.
She must be motioning a fishing line. That was so good. Thank you, Andrew Webb, for those questions. Let's see. The next one is also by Andrew. Best piece of advice you have.
Oh,
I know.
For who?
He's a deep thinker, this Andrew Webb is.
Oh, wow.
I
that
think he's
is
been
good
on a
one.
few job interviews because that's what
Yeah.
he's asking.
He's looking for you to help him get a job, basically.
Good question. Good question. My father always told me that he would never like to step on somebody else's toes to get ahead. He believed that would be not good, and he would never do that himself.
That is up the way up the corporate ladder. You're right.
Yeah.
That's why I'm poor right now, is I agree
Yes.
to that advice.
Yes, and he refuses, exactly.
Yeah, and I never believed in that, although I'm sure Helen had different ideas.
I agree. Randy wants to know, we were talking about Lee a little while ago. He wants to know, do you remember why it says why she left us, or did we leave her? Because we were moving.
Well, we left her because we moved from Miami Beach after the hurricane came through there.
And where did we move from there?
We moved over to Aunt Gertrude's, just temporarily.
Was that Georgia?
That's in Miami.
Oh, all right. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Randy asked, seeing that he's in the auto industry, what was your favorite car?
My favorite car was a...
And he said, and he removed it from here, besides the Cadillac that he crashed.
I love that car.
Wait, what was your reaction when Randy crashes the Cadillac?
Oh,
The reaction wasn't bad because it was so
So
badly crashed.
lucky
We were
he
happy
hit
Randy
that
made
tree.
it through.
Yes, that Randy
so
was
lucky
okay.
he hit that
Yeah.
tree. If he hadn't hit that tree, he would have gone scooting out over the ice, broken through the ice.
Oh, God forbid.
Yeah. So
How old was he?
Well, he must just be driving.
18, 19, 20.
yeah, 18
No.
maybe.
Nicole was born. We were in Farmington when that happened.
No, we were
Jerry
in
and
White
I were
Lake.
in Farmington.
We were in White Lake when we had the
No, Jerry and
Cadillac.
I.
But poor Randy
Yeah,
had
the
black
Jerry.
eyes, 2 black eyes.
Oh.
running.
I didn't even care about your car at that
Looked
point.
horrible.
Not once he thought he would have lost his son versus a car. But do you
Oh, yeah.
remember, besides that car, what your favorite car was?
Yes, Turbo Saab.
You owned it?
Turbo Saab, no. I had a nice job as an automotive editor of CarBiz magazine. So I got to drive all kinds of new cars.
Awesome. Amanda asks, what is your favorite place outside of the U.S.?
Good question. Wow. So many.
Yeah. I have a...
I guess my favorite would have to be Hawaii.
That's what I would have thought you would have said. Yep.
What about
Yeah.
Jamaica?
I like Jamaica, but I'd say between Jamaica and Hawaii. I liked Hawaii better.
That's part of the
Oh, thanks a lot, smart
Bam!
pants.
Amanda was going to be sitting at her computer hearing this.
Now
And
I'm
so upset because Hawaii is.
I thought of Hawaii. So outside, I guess that would not be Hawaii. Outside of the U.S. would be Jamaica
Well,
then.
you could have said outside continental U.S.
No, it says outside of the
Hey, we're
U.S.
following the rules here, Ken.
Yeah, Alaska doesn't count either that way.
Yeah,
Oh, Jamaica?
see?
No, I say Alaska doesn't count.
Yeah.
Right, so
Yes.
So Jamaica would probably be
Yeah.
it then. As of a process of elimination, actually. Okay, here's one. We all know that you are Santa Claus, but could you tell us how you knew which gift to give for each Easter egg that we found?
Don't tell her, Bob.
Lori just said, "Don't tell her, Bob."
I think that's
I know
beyond
how
the
he
call.
did it, and I will relay it on a need-to-know basis for the generations to come.
Here's $1.
That's not
I have $1 for you.
I'm with Lori.
Here's a question, or Lori Lamb's get very lengthy, very good, because they're so good. She says, Lori Lamb says, while visiting in D.C. with Melanie, Hannah, and Maya, we began to sing a song that Bobby used to sing to Mel when she was young. 2 songs, actually, were attempted by Mel and I that she remembered from her father, which she, of course, learned from you. Yes, the girls do believe I am confidently different. Oh, Mr. Johnny Rebeck. And we'll sing that one, Dad. And put a hand on myself. What have I here? This is my yes, Molly dear. So she was wondering if we could sing these songs. And she has a few tips here that she remembers. We tried brain boxer, eye blinker, soup strainer, chin boxer, rubbernecker, heartbreaker, or heart beater, bread basket, hip bender, sitter downer, knee bender, toe toucher. Please sing both songs in their entirety for all of us to get right.
Oh, you're cute. Oh,
But-
Mr. Johnny
Let's start at
Rebeck.
the bottom and we'll come all the way up.
Oh,
So-
Mr. Johnny Rebeck, how could you be so mean? I told you you'd be sorry for inventing that machine. Now all the neighbors' cats and dogs will never more be seen. They'll all be ground to sausages in Johnny Rebeck's machine. One day the machine got busted, the darn thing wouldn't go. So Johnny Rebeck, he climbed inside to see what made it so. His wife was having a nightmare, she's walking in her sleep. She gave the crank a heck of a yank, and Johnny Rebeck was meat.
Oh,
Mr. Johnny Rebeck, how could you be
I feel
so
like you should be
mean?
more drunk right
I
now.
told you you'd be sorry for
For
inventing that machine. Now all the neighbors' cats and dogs will evermore be seen. They'll not be ground to sausages in Johnny Rebeck's machine.
Woo! And if we, I guess, go from the feet up, then it won't
Okay.
take as long. Do you
All
think?
right, sure.
Let's see. How does it start?
Put a hand on myself, what have I here? This is my brain boxer, yes, Molly dear. Brain boxer, eye blinker, brain fog horner,
Soup strainer,
trainer,
rubbernecker,
jawbreaker.
oh, jawbreaker, rubbernecker,
Rubbernecker,
chest protector, bread basket,
Yeah. Sitter
Sitter
downer,
knee
knee
bender.
bender.
What's the foot? Flat footer.
Yeah.
That's-
Skipped a lot though, I feel like.
That's what I've learned in my shul. Is that how it goes?
Yeah.
Yes? Do you want to
Yeah.
try it one more time now that we said it? Let's, from the top.
You're really playing.
Okay.
Break's done!
I think
You
we
got
got it.
I think you did better than I did.
What it should have been to you.
I think we did it. I think we did it in the car many times on trips. We loved it.
Right.
Let's see. Lori Lamb says, na 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 na. Do you remember all of us kids arguing in the station wagon during one of our trips when it younger, a song created from that event? Can you tell the story and share it with us?
And say it again.
I don't remember.
Wait, say it again.
She said, na 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 na. Do you remember all of us kids arguing in the station wagon during one of our trips when younger A song was created from that event. Can you tell the story and share it with us? I don't
Wow.
remember
Na,
that.
na, 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 na.
Was that a song?
That's the Christmas song.
Yeah.
Is it? I don't
This is where
Look in
Grandpa's his
Daddy's
best though. He starts making
window.
up a story.
Na 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 na. Look in Daddy's window.
Oh,
Okay.
did you
Oh,
hear?
wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what it was.
oh,
There's a song that I co-wrote with Steve Weiland. And Steve Weiland said, Helen is never going to be close to the children. I think that you're going to end up having the children, so you need a song that will make them think of you instead of Helen. And he said, now I was thinking of the old nursery song like na 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 na, and he said, look in Daddy's window, framed in pure white snow, a little toy angel on the tree a peeking down at me, and 26 peppermint sticks for my for my mommy and me. But that's where
the Ned.
Look at Daddy's Window came from. And I've had some people say, why is it Daddy's window? Why isn't it Mommy's window? Or,
Oh, see, this is so
But-
informative.
but that was Steve's idea that he saw that Helen was not really good and that one day I would find a right mother for the children.
And you did.
And I did.
And you did the best.
I
and
sure
beyond.
did. Oh, far beyond.
So thankful. Lori Lamb's question is, tell us about either one of your favorite Billy and Kathy memories or about your Uncle Bill running track.
Okay, Billy and Kathy memories when we were in our house in Miami Beach. They came to visit us down there. And we took a picture of their car and Billy and Kathy and Gene and Bill.
Which house were we at?
The one in Miami Beach by Surfside.
Okay, so the big white 6
Yeah,
foot
the big one with
cement.
the
That's how I always remember
6
that
foot
one.
fence around. I was so impressed with Billy's piano playing. He was a very, very good pianist.
Wow.
And he was graduating from high school when that car accident happened that took his life.
So sad.
Oh, the saddest.
So I can't imagine. And Uncle Bill and Aunt Jean having to live through it.
Give context. I'm sorry. I know it's touchy, but I remember seeing Billy's picture on the wall, and my mom telling me he died in a car accident when he was 18. Just like I can imagine being your the uncle, right? And what was going through such a tight knit family.
And in the church where all of his friends came to the funeral, they started playing his favorite song, which is Kumbaya.
I
And
remember that.
made me cry.
Still to this day when you hear it.
Oh, yeah.
Brings you back. Whew. Do you remember Uncle Bill running track?
Oh, of course. He was he was
doesn't remember.
better than I was.
He doesn't remember if he was that fast.
No, he was good. He was all state in the mile. And when he was in the service in the South Pacific, he was number 5 in the whole South Pacific
Wow.
running track.
That's awesome. Lori Lamb has a question. You created many commercials. Do you remember any of them? The jingles like Follow the Leader, Filling Your Prescription, Kelch is that name, 50 Long Years in Fort Wayne. Could you
remember that.
sing it for us?
Oh,
Follow the leader,
oh, follow the leader, filling our prescription. You know the leader's name, Kelch is the name. 50 long years in Fort Wayne.
That's it. Yes. Again, we remembered a lot of the jingles before they were out, but then they made it on the radio.